life could have gone a lot of different ways. And because someone said, you know what, I'm going to give this guy the chance, and even taking it into business or taking it into property or however that looks, sometimes you might get an investor that says, you know what, I'm going to give this one, I'm going to give, not because the deal's good, the deal's an average deal, but I'm going to give this person a shot. And I feel like a lot of people downplay that a lot. There's a lot of people out there doing that. And because of that, obviously you have to give back. Like, I always try and do charity work and things like that. And without blowing my own trumpet, like, I feel like it's really important that when you see success, you should pay it forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very big believer of the energy that you put in is the energy that you would get out. So if I help you, evidently the universe will see that and it will give me something, not necessarily back from yourself, but it will give me something from else from the universe. So you mentioned that you went to Uganda.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good segue into talking about the whole actually being grateful, because it's a different world over there, right?
Yeah. So there's been a couple deployments that I've done. I've done Uganda, I've gone to Kenya, I've gone to a couple other sort of aid sort of situations, but different world, like you said.
What would you say is like, what would make you say that? Just
It's the conditions. Like you go some places and you get off at the airport and you can see big buildings and you're thinking, oh, this looks normal. This looks like my normal. You drive a couple hours into the villages. The first time I remember seeing it was Ghana. You're in the capital and it feels like you're in Miami. You drive a couple hours into the villages and you're seeing real poverty. And you're seeing poverty that you don't see here. Like when people say here we're below the breadline or what that looks like. And I was one of those people, like growing up in a single mum household, but when you see real poverty, you realize how grateful you should be for the things that you have. Like the fact that we have education for free and we all know how to write and speak English and do all of these skill sets, these things that we take as like fundamentals. In other places, they don't even have that opportunity.
Would you say that you've become more grateful now seeing that?
I think as you go forward in life, you become more grateful with every blessing that gets given to you, the good and the bad. Like, I'm grateful for things going wrong because I look at it as if that didn't go wrong, I wouldn't know how to move on from this lesson in the future. A lot of the time when you fail fast, it's a good thing because you're able to then divert into how to make things better. And if you don't fail at all on the come up, when you do fail, like on a bigger scale, it's a lot more damaging.
I mean, the saying of the pod is run towards failure, not success. Because I think there's a lot more lessons in the failures than there is successes. You mentioned that a blessing of something going bad. What was that sort of situation that you can really think of that think, oh shit, you know what, that actually really helped me to be the person that you are today? It doesn't necessarily have to be in the property business. It can be personal life.
Something going bad.
That taught you the biggest lesson or changed your mindset in any way?
See, I've got a really sort of like firm mindset and hard mindset. So it's like sometimes I have to look back at things in life to really realize like, yeah, that was a bad time. Because at the time, I'm always sort of like looking at how do we push forward? How do we move forward? How do we make things happen? But if I have to say something going bad, it's a difficult one. You might have to come back to that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, on the flip side, what's one thing that you're really proud of that you've built?
Really proud of that I've built. Probably the charity stuff that I don't speak about it much on UK estates, but like the hospital in Uganda that we helped build, the maternity wing. We done 11 wells in Kenya last year, just gone. So those things, like, yeah, they're probably most proud about. Definitely.
And is that the end goal? Like you're doing all of this to better the world, to do stuff like this?
I wouldn't say it's the end goal. I just think it's like, it's our duty sort of thing. In that, if you can, then why wouldn't you?
Mm.
I'm a strong believer of that. Like, obviously, without me being like a humanitarian, and I don't look at myself as a humanitarian, but without me having that sort of framework to things, it's like, if you can, and it's like not a burden on you too, then just why wouldn't you?
No, it's important. Would you I've lost my train of thought. Would you do you practice like mindfulness?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
meditate, you visualize.
Not so much meditate or visualize intentionally,
Yeah.
but I do it unintentionally. And like, when I say unintentionally, it's like I might have a long drive, like I won't put on any music or podcast or anything like that, and I'll just think, like, and I'm talking like maybe like a 4-hour drive, and I'll just be there in my own thoughts thinking about something or anything, and that really helps, I think.
Yeah, because it's important.
Yeah.
As the last guest that I had, she literally has her business called Mind Station. It talks about mindset and teaches kids, and it's all about like positive affirmations. Have you ever? Because I know some people, successful people that I speak to, don't always talk about like what they actually do from like a systemization standpoint, like the meditation, like the affirmations, like the visualizations. So it always intrigues me when someone says that they don't do that, but unconsciously they do. So you've never done like power scripting or positive affirmations. You've never done that type of stuff.
So when I first got into entrepreneurship, like when I was first like getting into business, and this is actually a really good loop back to one of my like lowest moments, like that we was talking about.
Yeah.
I done a lot of sort of like Jim Rohn,
Yeah.
like Andrew Carnegie, and like How to Grow Rich, and all of these sort of things. And that was when I first got into sort of like mindset, and not necessarily write down your dreams and write down your goals, but I was very aware of it. And I remember this was when UK States was like first starting, and I remember like at one point it was like I invested everything into UK States sort of taking off. And I remember there was one point I was sitting in my car, and I went to a petrol station and my card declined. And I was in the petrol station, and I was like, wow, like, and this was coming from a corporate background, like from being somewhat like okay from literally the day I left school, selling sweets in school, so always having money. And I remember sitting there thinking like, the 14-year-old me would have been able to pay for this. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that was when I sort of like really firmed down and said like, yeah, let me. And that was that sort of like having that positive mindset, that affirmations and stuff like that. That was during that time there. And I said, yeah, let me double down on things now and make this work.
I guess the question I asked you before, the biggest lessons / challenge. In that instance, when you went to that petrol station, you couldn't pay for it. Like, surely there was a lesson there that you took from that situation, right?
Yeah, I think the lesson was like at my lowest, I still see positively.